Hello, Malik Carrington here, Family Budget Fisherman. Finally, after 5 takes, I'm getting this done. You read it in the thumbnail and in the description below. I am finally going to give you my review on the Carbonlite. This is the Bass Pro Shops Johnny Morris Carbonlite spinning reel. Yep, let's get started. All right, thank you for continuing to watch and enjoy these videos, and I appreciate all the comments. I appreciate all the engagement. Keep it going. And even for the few of you who are negative comments, remember, I like yours too. So go ahead on. I'll take anything that you give me. But I want to talk to you about this reel here. I've had it for several months, and I gave you my first look, or my kind of just initial thoughts of it after I purchased it. But since then, you have seen me on my shorts, on all of the shorts on my social media of me catching fish using this reel. And just so that you know, I would say maybe the majority of all of my fishing will be in shorts. I will have some long content, because I'm going to be doing reviews with long content, but for the most part, until I start back fishing in my boats, my fishing from the banks will be mostly short form content. But having said that, you'll see me fish with this and catch some good fish with this. And I'll tell you the technical specs of this. This is a 7.4 ounce reel, which is good. It is, the drag on this is 22 pounds. And what I like about it, it holds a good amount of line. On the 8-pound test, 120 yards, but I have braid on here, and it says it holds 110 yards of 15-pound test braid. I have the Fins Infinity braid on here, and so I don't know how that translates, because braided line is braided line. I do know that I can cast 60 to 70 yards with this when I'm throwing, say, a 1/4 ounce, or even a 3/16, certainly a 3/8. And I caught, matter of fact, one of my daughters used this rod, and she caught her personal best. My 6, soon to be 7-year-old caught her personal best using the rod that was paired with this reel on a 3/8 ounce bass jig, and she did quite well. She was scared to hold the fish, so we had her brother and sister get in the picture with her. So having said that, this reel retails for about $100, and you can get deals with this. The deals that you could get with it are when Bass Pro Shops will will discount their gift cards, 10% or $5 on, or I think $5 on 50 or $10 on 50, something like that. And then you can get that, and you can use the discount toward the discounted gift cards toward the purchase of this reel, which will bring you down a few dollars. Sometimes they will give a direct discount, 20%, 15%, and you can use that toward it as well, because the Johnny Morris name brand is the house brand. It's like Kirkland is the house brand for Walmart and Sam's Club, as an example. Not Kirkland, Costco. Yeah, Costco. So at any rate, so that's where it ends. Now, I threw on various rods. I threw different types of baits. Of course, I threw my top water baits. I love my torpedoes. I threw some other walking baits, as it were. I threw the urchin baits, obviously, and then of course I threw my jackhammers. This is an Evo, tungsten Evo. This is a 1/2 ounce, and I did throw this on one of the rods there and caught fish with it. I threw square bills. I threw deeper diving plugs. Let me take a little drink there. I threw deeper diving plugs. I threw worms. You name it. I threw all the hot stuff. I even threw some classics. I threw some tubes, and I'm telling you guys need to get back into throwing tubes. So I threw a lot of different types of baits, and I do have my opinions on them. I got some good and some bad. Let me give you first the good stuff, and I might even mix one or two of the bad in there. But the good stuff is this at 7.4 ounces. This is a really light reel, and I think that for 7.4 ounces at $100, you're doing really well. As a matter of fact, my previous favorite reel rather, is the Creed. This is the 13 Fishing Creed GT 3000, right? Love this reel, and I threw this reel for years. I think I had about 10 of these reels. I've given some away over the years. This reel retailed for about $80 to $90, depending on where I was making the initial purchase. Of course, I used my techniques to get the price way down. I think the least expensive one I bought was down to $40. But I threw that. Had this been available at the same time this was available, I would have purchased this instead of this. Okay. And so because it works just that well, it's a really good reel. And of course, I still got three big bad things that I want to say about this. The second thing that I really love about this reel is, although it's not one piece carbon, the carbon fiber, it's carbon fiber all the way through, except all the way even through the handle. It's a very lightweight. It feels good, and it has the typical reel handle. You'll see that reel handle on here. I personally like the T handles, the T wing handles, but this handle is here. And where is it on this is the Revo X30, which I think, in my opinion, and now this is just my own personal opinion, I actually believe that either Bass Pro Shops use the Revo X or as a prototype, or they may have, and I believe this to be the case, they may have even had Bass Pro Shops may have even had Abu Garcia to actually make the reels for them with some modifications for themselves. I actually believe that as good as the Revo X30 was, this is the previous model, that this reel performs much better. It's much more silent. I think that it is, its start-stop is better. It doesn't flex in the same way that the Revo X30, and I enjoyed the Revo X30, but once you got past a 2-pound bass, or you caught something in the river, you could feel a little bit of the flex on there. So there's that. There was very little flex in this, and the biggest bass that I caught on this was just under 4 pounds. So, and I battled it out, and so I really think that it worked well. Now, here's some of the negatives. There's 3 big negatives. Number one, and this is a personal deal, I'm not a fan of the shallow spool. I don't care what comes or goes, I'm not a fan of the shallow spool. So I believe that if a reel is presented with a shallow spool, that it should also have the option of getting a deeper spool. As a matter of fact, the most expensive reel I own currently is the Daiwa Exist, and if you know anything about high-end rods or reels, you know that is now the second most expensive reel. It's a little bit it's beaten out by the limited edition Daiwa Exist, which goes for about $1,500. It's a crazy amount, but at almost $1,000, I think it's $960. There's that, but it has a shallow spool, and I don't like that. I wish that I could buy a deeper spool. My understanding is prior to the previous iteration of that reel does have a deeper spool, but I don't have access to get to the previous generation. So that's the first big problem. The second big problem is it still has the option to reverse reel. Now, if you are if you use more higher end gear on a regular basis, you will learn how much of an annoyance this is. Okay, you really will. As a matter of fact, the premier reels in this category that I throw are the Tatula. This is the Tatula MQ. Okay, Daiwa Tatula MQ, and the Shimano Vanford. Okay, this is the previous model. I have the B model sitting right behind the camera here. You all know I have it, but this is for display purposes. Notice that there is no switch to do reverse reeling. Okay, we dispense with that. This is an old model reel. I think this reel has got to be about 8 or 10 years old. And so if they remove this, not only will you take weight out, but you have opportunities to maybe make bigger size gears so that you don't get the kind of flexing that you would normally get. That's one of the things I like about the MQ, is that it doesn't have that, and so you can put a bigger gear in there, and that bigger gear prevents the flexing. Okay, so that's two things. Okay, the third thing is in terms of its performance. So whenever I would throw baits that give resistance, so your chatterbaits, some of your bigger swim baits, your 6-7 inch swim baits that met the rod specs. If I threw hard baits that dive, say crankbaits that dive deeper than 6 feet, so we're getting out of your square bills, say an 8-foot or 10-foot depth, you can feel when trying to reel, I had to put a little bit more effort into reeling in that, or retrieving that bait, as I should say, as opposed to when, of course, the Vanford, I didn't feel it to the same degree, nor the Tatula MQ. And for that matter, even the Daiwa Ballistic. And the only reason I don't have the Daiwa Ballistic here is because that is a freshwater, saltwater reel, and it's kind of out of the category of comparison to what these other reels are doing. For that matter, so not to say for that matter. So at any rate, the performance wasn't a problem. If I didn't throw any kind of baits that, reaction baits that had that kind of resistance, I didn't feel that problem. So moving forward, this reel will be used with more of my finesse applications and lighter techniques on a more regular basis. Now, when it came to fighting fish, like I said, I had a great time fighting fish. Fish at 3 to 4 pounds, up to 3 to 4 pounds. That's the majority of what we catch. Most of us are not catching 5, 7, 8, 10 pound fish. That gets into an extraordinary category of fishing. But up to 3 or 4 pounds, which is where most of us reside on a regular basis, this reel does the job. Now, final thing. So again, performance was one. The reverse, this reverse switch here for reverse reeling was 2, and the shallow spool is the third one. Those are the 3 bad things that I had to say about it, critical things, if you will. But other than that, now I will never ever sit in front of you and tell you that this reel is on the level of these 2 reels. Okay, certainly that's not the case. Technologically, these are superior to this reel in every way. Okay, here's the point though. This reel, this Carbonlite reel, for about 80% of what I use for these 2 reels, in terms of fishing and so forth, this reel can get close to or match in application, in performance, okay? So throwing a worm, throwing a drop shot, throwing a jig, throwing a minnow and jig, those kinds of things. I don't need this much firepower if I have this, okay? This is more of a luxury at that point. Having said that, you know, there are times when power finesse applications kick in and you need these and not this, okay? But in terms of your everyday stuff and the fact that you can get a discount, I would prefer you use this in those applications where you're not throwing, you know, you're not aggressively power fishing. And I know this is setting aside that a lot of you still like to use bait casters. I get that. But for those of us who still use spinning for all of our applications except for big swim baits, I would prefer that you use this where the techniques and applications are not so power. So go to your most finesse and move in that area with this particular reel. Now, for now, this reel will replace my Revo X30s. It will replace my Cree GT 3000s for my budget, my lower end rods, my rods under $100 up to say 125, 130 bucks, maybe 150 bucks. Okay, that's what this will replace in many applications. Okay, so for as another example, 13 Fishing has the Oxum. This is their top of the line spinning reel. This Carbonlite blows out this Oxum, just blows it away. And this retails for 150 bucks. Okay, so just blows it away. So I just stuff like that. So if you have any questions, let's talk about this reel online. I would love to have the engagement with you in the comments below, whether you got questions, have you used this reel before, what's your experience, if you want to have any more questions about it, let me know in the comments below and I'll see what I can do to answer those questions. So thank you for watching. Remember, don't do anything to break your family's budget by buying this or any other piece of equipment, but by every legal and ethical means, do me a favor and get out there and break your personal best. I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Be blessed.